Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I'm Mark Goldbridge and this is your latest Manchester United news. As Manchester United miss out, well, it looks like we're going to miss out on Sesko because he could be heading off to Newcastle. But what did I tell you yesterday? Watkins is Man United's priority. Watch the mainstream react to that breaking news. Literally in the last half an hour, Man United are in talks for Aston Villa's Ollie Watkins, and also they're very interested in Garnacho. I feel like there is an echo going on sometimes, and I feel that at some point people will realise that when we do get little bits, they're nailed on from our source. Delap, priority in April, was true. Garnacho 100% leaving the morning after the game, was true. There's other bits as well. Onana, March international break, Amrin wants to replace him, true. Yesterday lunchtime, Watkins is the priority before anybody else, and last night we spent a whole show talking about it. Today, mainstream, Sky, TalkSport, Ben Jacobs just tweeted about it. At one point, the world's going to change and the traditional media won't get the breaking news because people will trust what people like us and others get. Watkins is the priority. What you want to do with that is up to you. But Manchester United have started initial talks with Aston Villa. Garnacho is part of those talks as well. Look, I will repeat again what I said to you last night. We were told yesterday, lunchtime, Watkins is now the new Man United priority. After Plan A, Delap, after Plan B, Gyökeres, after Plan C, Ekitike, Plan D is Watkins. And there has been stories today that we won't do that deal and we might have been moving towards Plan E. But at the moment, it sounds like Plan D is still an option. That was what we were told. What I said last night is there something we can do with Garnacho? Can we take Watkins on loan for a year and give him on loan? Is there some sort of swap deal we can do? Well, it looks like it's starting to plan and pan out, isn't it? So, look, I'm not shocked by that news at all. If anything, I think it's repeated news from what we had yesterday. But look, some people need the validation of established journalism to confirm a story. I get that, but I think everybody tonight is in no doubt that our obsession now is Ollie Watkins, and I would say we can probably start the clock. Maybe wait for David Ornstein, maybe wait for Romano. I don't think they're going to be very far away on this, but I would start the clock from now, really. It looks like now is the time to start the clock on how long does it take us to go from talks to here we go, because it's looking like that now. Josh says, what about Isak? I mean, it's incredible. You know what? I've got to bow down to the enthusiasm and positivity of you lots. You never fail to amaze me, some of you. The positivity that you hold, I hope one day you are rewarded because you always look on the positive side. Isak is asking to leave Newcastle. Some Man United fans actually thought that was an option. I mean, I never did. Never for a second did I think Man United could go for Isak. I mean, we're not in the bloody Champions League. It'd be a step back. So, but in fairness, I think Man United don't normally do this, but they have put it out through numerous journalists tonight that Man United are not in for Isak at all. So they're probably very clever doing that. And why would they do that? Because, to be honest, I don't think Man United mind being linked to transfers. But I think in this case, you've got to distance yourself very, very quickly because it's just completely and utterly not going to happen. The interesting thing about Isak leaving Newcastle is that Newcastle, according to David Ornstein, who has put a big story out today, Newcastle are now moving for Benjamin Sesko, which is a player they've apparently been looking at for a long time. So to me, it gets interesting. Look, it's a Thursday night. It's an 8 o'clock show. You drive the show. There's a few bits I want to get into, but obviously we always do the topical stuff at the start. But honestly, I would say this. There is going to potentially be a situation where Gyökeres is playing for Arsenal. Pedro and Delap are playing for Chelsea. Ekitike and Isak, maybe, are playing for Liverpool. I'm talking about transfers here. Benjamin Sesko goes to Newcastle and Man United get Ollie Watkins. And it's going to be very interesting to look at the profile and age. Because I saw a lot of people saying Gyökeres at 27 for 55 million is a joke. we might pay that for a guy who's going to be 30 in December. Look, I like Ollie Watkins. I back the signing, but I'm also not going to not take notice of what other people have paid for strikers and what we might end up paying here. Are you happy if it's Ollie Watkins? Mate, I'm over the moon if it's Ollie Watkins compared to Nicholas Jackson or Calvert-Lewin. But look, I think let's see what happens here. Funnily enough, there was a story this afternoon, I think it came out from the Telegraph, saying that Manchester United were not in the race for Watkins anymore. Ben Jacobs was on the show with Terry at that time. Terry asked him about it, and he said, well, he might not be in it now, but that, you know, if that price changes, they will. Obviously, I haven't spoken to you this morning. If I'd have been asked that question by Terry or you at 2 o'clock today, are we in or out of the race? I would have said, we're in the race. I mean, it was only yesterday lunchtime. I told you he's the priority now. I don't think United would drop out of that race that quickly. I think it's part of the game. I think Man United have probably said we're not paying £60 million, but there's 6 weeks left of this window. I don't think Man United were in a position this lunchtime to go, you know, we're out of the race just because Villa say he's not for sale. He is for sale. Newcastle said what? Newcastle said Isak wasn't for sale. I don't trust clubs when they say somebody's not for sale, because Watkins and Emery don't get on. And Villa can say Watkins is not for sale, but I think Watkins wants to go and Emery wants to replace him. So he is for sale. It's just bartering. So I think that... I also think from a United side of things, if I'd have been asked that question at 2 o'clock after the Telegraph article, are we still in for Watkins? I think I even tweeted it. Plan A, Delap. Plan B, Gyökeres. Plan C, Ekitike. Plan D, Watkins. It won't be long till Amrim's on Plan Z at this rate. And that is why I don't think Man United can mess this up. Some brilliant quotes from Jose Mourinho, which I meant to discuss last night, where he basically said, you can't succeed at Manchester United without being backed. I can't remember the two players Jose said he wanted. I think he wanted Griezmann and somebody else, and he got Fred and Lindelof. And he basically said, not bad squad players, but not the quality I needed. So he said that basically you need to be backed at Manchester United, and hopefully Amrin will get backed. And he basically threw it at the owners again. But look, you cannot go on, you can't demand a striker as a really important part of your rebuild, and then United go, sorry, Ruben, we're struggling here. We're down to Plan F. Like, you have to deliver. And I think United have probably... Well, look, as I said yesterday lunchtime, Watkins is the priority. Reading between the lines, or very obviously, if we are in on Watkins, the same as Liverpool were in on Isak, I think there's a very similar situation here. Obviously, there's a big difference between Isak and Watkins, but I don't think Liverpool spent the last 6 weeks talking about Isak and British transfer records without being told by Isak's people that they'd like the move. Newcastle can say no, but I think Isak clearly wanted to go. I don't think Man United have put Ollie Watkins as their number one priority now, without Watkins' people saying we would love to come and play for Manchester United. So I just think this is about doing a deal now. When it happens, look, I doubt he'll be here for the Arsenal game. He might be here for the Fulham game. I don't know whether he's going to start the season for Villa. That's always a little bit difficult in the modern day. It used to happen quite a lot that you'd play the first couple of games and then move sometimes. But it could be August the 31st. It could be in the next, just after the Arsenal game. But it's going to be a long process because Villa are going to want this. We're going to want to pay that. And we know, as we saw with Mbeumo and many other deals, that it can take time. Why are you so convinced that Watkins is a good signing, Mark? Well, I want to get into some of your questions as well. If you've just tuned in, our exclusive from yesterday lunchtime that Watkins is Man United's priority, as predicted, is now feeding out through Sky and Talk Shit, and everybody else is claiming it as their own story. Yesterday lunchtime, check out Twitter, check out last night. This is from our source that's given us little bits over the last 6 months and been pretty much nailed on every single time. Watkins is now United's priority. Talks have begun. Villa wants 60. Man United don't want to pay that, but they do want Garnacho. So there could be a mutual bit of something going on here. Sesko is available for around 60 million apparently, but Newcastle are now in talks with him, according to David Ornstein. So that's the latest. But to answer the question, why are you convinced that Ollie Watkins is a good signing? Look, you wouldn't have caught me or any other person that's pro Watkins. You wouldn't have caught me in March saying Ollie Watkins is the guy to go and get. No, you wouldn't. But what you would have done when Arsenal were looking at him in January is you would have heard me on That's Football saying, I think that's an intelligent signing. I think you put Ollie Watkins up front for... I mean, look, actually, I've been saying it for 18 months. You put Ollie Watkins up front for Arsenal and I think they could win the league. I'm not so sure now, based on Chelsea and Liverpool's spending this summer, but I think Ollie Watkins up front for Arsenal over the last 2 years, it might have been a different story. So I rate him. I wanted him to play up front for England in the Euros over Harry Kane. Stylistically, I think he suited England's system better. So I rate Ollie Watkins. I think he's a good player. I'm very happy for him to come to Manchester United. I rate him. But he wouldn't have been my first pick. He wouldn't have been my second pick. He wouldn't have been my third pick. He'd probably be my fourth pick. And, you know, I wanted Osman or Gyökeres. I did. I'd have took Watkins over Delap. The only thing Delap's got over Watkins is age. So, look, I'd have him in my top 4 options for Manchester United. We didn't win the Europa League, by the way. We finished 15th in the league. We can't offer European football. And we've missed out on better targets because of that. So where we are and what we're looking at, I'd be very happy with this deal. He's Premier League proven, which we sometimes over-exaggerate. But being a Premier League proven striker is actually a real positive because he will be obviously used to playing against Premier League defences. He'll be used to playing up front on his own. He'll be used to the pace of it. He'll be used to the physicality of it, the intensity of it. And also, he's a player that provides goals and assists. So I like the deal. If I'm being honest, I'd like him to be 3 years younger. If he was 3 years younger, I'd be even more happy. I really, really would. He's going to be 30 around New Year. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world, but it's not long-termism either. However, the flip side to that coin is, and we don't know what's going to happen with Rasmus, who's still only 22, but we do have Obi, who's 17. The flip side to that coin is I think we've got a couple of younger strikers, certainly in Obi, who could work and learn from this. And I think sometimes you've got to play a little bit tactical, and there could be a really intelligent transition here. I would actually be selling it to Watkins like this. Look, 4-year deal. First 2 to 3 years, we imagine you will be the number 1 striker. And then maybe year 4, you transition into the experienced striker who, you know, plays less games and, you know, but still an important part of the squad. And Watkins might be quite happy with that. So that's what I would be selling that project. So the age could be a positive if you're all in on Obi. And correct me if I'm wrong, most of us are. So I think that if you buy Sesko and he's 22 and he becomes a major success, Obi never develops. If you buy Gyökeres at 27 and he's a major success, Obi never develops. You only play with 1 striker. You don't play with 2. And yeah, you can get off the bench, but you need a starting striker. This could be quite intelligent. The big issue is going to be the price. That's where it becomes problematic because you can't pay the same price as Cunha for Ollie Watkins. You can't pay more than Gyökeres for Ollie Watkins. You can't pay more than João Pedro for Ollie Watkins. But so can Man United get Ollie Watkins' price down to around 40 million quid? That's going to be the problem. I think the price is the problem, not the age and not the quality, in my opinion. Dread, thank you very much for your super chat. Mojo says 51 goals. No, Mojo doesn't say anything because I've just hit. Have you ever done that? You ever done that where you're on your computer or your laptop and you just go to change the browser and you hit X and it closes all of them? Does that ever happen to you? It happens to me on the regular. I don't know why my mouse was up there. That's what she said. But anyway, let's go back to what Mojo said because I've just had to reload it for a moment. There we go. So Mojo says 51 goals amongst Watkins, Cunha and Mbeumo, all three in the top 10 scorers from last season, all Premier League proven. Looks good on paper. Let's hope it works on the pitch, says Mojo. Well, we know that Ollie Watkins had a very good season the season before last. That was obviously established and everybody knew about that. But what did he do last season? 24-25, he got 16 Premier League goals. Did he? Bloody hell. Yeah, he got 16 goals here. And assists, he got... Can I have more than one? There we go. And 8 assists. He got the same amount of assists as Jared Bowen, Odegaard, Gibbs White, Eze and Cole Palmer. I didn't realise he got 16 goals last year in the Prem. I knew he had a really good season the season before last, but I didn't realise he got 16 Premier League goals in the Premier League last year on apparently a bad season where he faced competition from Duran until Christmas and then Rashford till the end of the season. So 16 Premier League goals last year and 8 assists. 24 goal contributions in the Premier League. Mate, this is what I'm talking about. I didn't realise he did that last year. I knew he had a good one the year before, but come on, you can't argue with that, really. And also, what can he bring to the training ground and everybody else as well? I like it. I like the deal. As soon as I got told it from our source yesterday lunchtime, I liked it. And it's not just because it buries the Jackson nightmare. I actually quite like it. Nadeem says, your voice is so soothing, Mark. Thank you, Nadeem. Appreciate that. Watkins, Cunha and Mbeumo combined 72 goals and assists last season, says Lee Berman. There is a Moneyball strategy to that, isn't there, almost like? And Moneyball, if you've not seen the film, it's brilliant. In fact, I need to watch that film again. I'm going to start watching it tonight. Moneyball. It's a great film. I've just finished Wolf of Wall Street. I'm working through loads of classics at the moment. There is a Moneyball strategy to it. If you've not seen the film, it's basically a strategic approach. The Brighton approach to football, really. You look at things in a strategic way and go, this player makes a lot of tackles and can pass very, very well. Let's bring him into the league and stick him in our midfield. Oh, look, he's now worth 100 million quid. So, but this is different. This is and also, he's not a learner driver. Mbeumo, Cunha and Watkins, experienced players who've done it in clubs that aren't the traditional top 6, who are proven in the Premier League, not just Premier League proven, but performers in the Premier League. Also, Mbeumo and Watkins have played together at Brentford, haven't they? I'm sure they did. So, look, it's intelligent, and I'm not going to complain about this, actually. I'm not going to complain about this. I'll complain about the fact that we're on Plan D, but I also have said, salvage what you can. We can assess the window at the end, and ending up with Ollie Watkins is not what Plan A, B or C was, but you've got to get Plan D. I know people might not be happy with it, but you don't want to end up on Plan F. So I think there is a strategy to this. It's about people who can perform in this league now and are experienced. Who would you prefer, Mateta or Watkins? Purely hypothetical, not saying we're in for Mateta. I am going to run that, Josh, being as you've done a very intelligent super chat. I'm going to run it as an either or in the chat. And you lot can get your votes in before I have my say, because I want to go through some of your comments anyway. It's a hypothetical Mateta or Watkins. I must just add, at no point have Man United instigated any talks with Crystal Palace about Mateta. There was brief, he was on a shortlist in March, but we have never moved to the next stage. Now, I don't know why that is. I don't know whether it's because we view him as worse than Watkins or whatever, or I don't know whether it's more likely that Crystal Palace have said it will take silly money and United aren't going to do it. Why would he come to us? Why does he want to leave Villa, says Nicholas. It's a bit like Emi Martinez at Villa. I know a lot of Villa fans because the closest Premier League club to where I live is Aston Villa. And so it's quite local to me. So I know a lot of Villa fans and friends who are Villa fans. They like Ollie Watkins, but over this season, it's been strained between him and Emery. There's been times where Emery has favoured Rashford over him. I think the tipping point was PSG away and home, where he benched Watkins for Rashford. And I think that was the tipping point, really, where, understandably, I think Watkins felt that Emery didn't back him and he wants to move. And I think it's the same with Emi Martinez as well. I don't think there's a great camaraderie between the manager and the player. Hi Mark, trust you well. Man United owners have a reputation of hiring the best and destroying their reputation. Look and the talents over the years and flops as Rizek. I can't remember who it was who said it, but these are decent signings, and I'm of a firm opinion that top four is gone already, but fifth place is up for grabs. I think United have got to go for that because the financials, we've got to be... I won't normally do this until the season starts, but I'll tell you now, expectations for the season, and Robert McCormack's going to love me for this because he wants standards. Fifth place. I don't know whether it's realistic. We have to get it. We have to get fifth. I've never seen a summer transfer window like it. £1 billion of spending from Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool and Arsenal. Liverpool are going for Isak now. They can spend £500 million this summer and be completely FFP compliant. 500 million, £500 million in one summer, and they'll be fine. You can't compete with that. You can't compete with that. You have to find a way. And we won't be able to compete with that next summer with a non-Champions League budget again. We have to be in the Champions League next season. Have to be. And fifth place is what we've got to go for. So, yeah, we've got to do it. We've got to find a way of doing it. Fenke says we won't get it, and I understand that, but we have to. Max says, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Look, there's a lot of stuff all over social media, and I'm not going to get into any of that because, to be honest with you, I don't really follow that sort of stuff. I don't really know what's been said and what's not been said, etc. And if offensive remarks have been made, then everybody's got every right to react to those. All I will say is, as a kid, I loved wrestling, and Hulk Hogan was an icon of wrestling, and I'm a big fan of wrestling. I love Shawn Michaels, I love Bret the Hitman Hart, Ultimate Warrior, all of that. So of course, the kid in me is quite reflective tonight. It's been a Ozzy Osbourne as well. It's been a strange week, but I suppose I'm starting to get to that age in my life where those icons of when you were growing up are starting to drop. I just can't deal with Pacino and De Niro. I mean, that's gonna hurt. That is. Hi Mark, trust you well. I've done that one from Risic. Thank you. Lunin as a goalkeeper for 25 million from Madrid makes sense, says Abdullah. Look, I'm all for that, Abdullah. Thanks for your super chat, but honestly, in here, you'll do a lot better if you focus on the real. We finished 15th. We lost the Europa League final. I don't think we really get much out of it conversation-wise, in my opinion, talking about hypotheticals. I don't. I could say, let's go and get this player. I think we've got to deal with what's real. Goalkeeper situation, Emi Martinez or Lamens. It's going to be one of those two as far as we know. I just don't know how you can go into a season knowing Onana's your goalkeeper, knowing your defence doesn't trust him, knowing the fan base doesn't trust him, and we all know Amorim doesn't trust him. I don't know how Man United can send him, Ruben Amorim, into next season with that goalkeeper, because we all know the truth. And we can all paper the cracks and hope it works out, and I really, really do. I'd love Onana to be the best goalkeeper in the world and win the Golden Glove because we haven't got to spend any money. But we know Amorim wants to replace him because he's got eyes. We know Wilcox wants to replace him because he knows football. We know most of you want to replace him, and we know our back five wants to replace him. It's crazy to send Ruben Amorim into a new season with Onana in goal. With all due respect, Onana seems like a nice guy. But, you know, football's not about a nice guy. Football's about winning. And we need to be the best prepared we can. I would say to all those people, it's a bit harsh. Imagine we finish 6th next season and we look back at 6 points we lost because Onana made mistakes. That's what I mean about nice guys. It's nice to have a nice guy who's brilliant at football, but I'd rather have an arsehole who's good in goal. Watkins had 3 injuries last season. It's a big no. I'm really grateful for this, Bisson, because somebody said, Mark, you do this a lot with potential signings. Can you tell us the injury history of Ollie Watkins? This is news to me. I don't know. I'm going to get. I'm going to have rabbit in the headlight moments here because I don't even know myself. I mean, are you having a laugh? Are we having a laugh? Let me. Hold on a minute. This is really weird. This is really weird. This is going to be worth your time waiting. Brian Mbeumo, injury history. Coronavirus in 2020, ankle injury in 23-24, which kept him out for 4 months. Okay, this is really, really odd with Ollie Watkins then. You won't believe this. Ollie Watkins, injury history at 29, nothing until last season. So no injury history at all until last season. And then he did have 3. But he only missed 3 games. He had muscle fatigue in the international break in September, but didn't miss any games because it was the international break. He had a muscle injury in February for 2 weeks and missed 1 game. And then he had a knee problem in March, which kept him out for 2.5 weeks, and he missed 2 games. So he missed 3 games last season with injury. They're all minor. None of them. He's never had a major injury in his career. He had a couple of minor ones last year. Look, you could say, well, he's never had injuries, and then last season he had a couple. But I would say that ain't bad at all, really. That ain't bad at all. Especially when you look at Alexander Isak's injury history and people are willing to... Oh, my God. Have you seen his injury history? So sometimes I think you've got to be very careful because Isak, people are going to pay £120 million for. Broken toe in September last year, out for a month. Hamstring injury in January, missed a game. Groin injury in February, missed a game. Groin injury in January of the season before, missed a month. Groin injury in the October, missed 8 games. Thigh problem in September 22, missed 5 months. You'd take Isak, wouldn't you? So, you know, don't start talking about Ollie Watkins being injury prone. He's missed 3 games in the last 5 years by the look of it. I'd take him. As I said, the price is the thing that's going to be for me. Bingeduck says, I listened to your morning show on the way home from work and pulled over twice thinking my car was shagged until you mentioned the builders, says Binge. Yeah, if you watch the morning show this morning, you might hear a little ringing in the background. They're drilling the floor in the kitchen at the moment. So trust me, it doesn't sound that bad on the stream as it actually is. So yeah, I should give a warning to that because there we go. Right, somebody just said there's a bit of breaking news. I feel like it might be one of those shows tonight. So let me just have a quick look. Isaac to United is actually trending, you know, which is incredible, really, because it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen at all. Lots of people talking about an official approach to Aston Villa. I mean, official, initial, whatever rhymes with shull. As we said yesterday, lunchtime is the priority for Man United. Man United, if somebody is your number one priority, you're going to have talks with that club. as I said, I would start the clock from now. Let's see how long it takes for us to get it done. I said earlier, Martinez gives Barthez vibes. Watkins also a bridge to better things player, albeit with the Martinez ego flare, error, etc., says WG. As much as I'd like Watkins, I'd rather go for Mateta. He's in pounds, 50,000 a week, dangle a carrot and he'll sing the song, I Only Want United. And Cheeto can learn from him, similar type players, says Lee Cape Town. Let's see how this window plays out and look in January on what our weaknesses and strengths are. And whoever is available, grab them fast, says Rizek. We don't really do anything in January, though, do we? Just on Watkins versus Mateta, 65% of you are Watkins at the moment. Sesko with Rasmus still here makes no sense. Need experience. If Rasmus stays, I think we should get Watkins on loan and buy elsewhere, or buy Sesko and sell Rasmus, says Dobbers. What do you think will happen to Rasmus if we get Watkins, Mark? I don't know. He seems really happy on the tour. And I don't know. I think logically, surely he goes. I don't think he, in a World Cup year, is going to want to sit on the bench if there's interest from somewhere he can go and play. I also don't think Amrim's going to spend 40, 50 million pounds on a striker and then start Rasmus. So we don't have European football. So logically, I would say he will go. But as I said last night, I would like to keep the biggest squad we can because we do pick up injuries. But look, you've got to take into account what the player might want in that situation. Smoggy says, I'll be honest, we can bring in all the established attackers we want. However, the midfield remains a serious problem and it will cost us for top 5. Well, I saw it just on the midfield very quickly, Smoggy. I saw a story today. I don't know how many of you saw it. And it was to do with... I think it was Manchester Evening News. And I thought, that's slow sports news, that is. But basically, what they were saying is the reason Man United haven't bought a midfielder is because of Casemiro. So they were saying that, look, Amrim wants a midfielder, but removing Casemiro is the problem. Well, yeah, slow sports news. We spoke about this in May. For Manchester United to bring a midfielder in, someone's got to go. You've got Agate, Casemiro, Mainu, Bruno, Collier. You've got 5 players for 2 positions. And you've got Kone, who could stay this season, who I think is staying. So we're not in Europe. So we can't justify 7 midfielders on a Premier League squad. So somebody would have to go. Casemiro is the player they've been trying to get rid of for ages. And based on his performance last week, I think some people would get rid of him again. Wages is a big thing, age is a big thing, and he's only got 1 year left on his contract. So Casemiro is the one they want to get rid of. Mainu gets mentioned because he hasn't signed a new contract, but it's not going to happen. So what they were basically saying is that, yes, Amrim wants a midfielder, but they need to move somebody on, and we're not moving anybody on at the moment. Now, if we start the season with Casemiro on the bench again, maybe he might look to go in August, and maybe Man United will make a signing then. But look, yet again, we're talking about the same thing. Amrim wants a new goalkeeper. Onana won't go. Amrim hasn't got a goalkeeper. Amrim wants a new midfielder. They can't move Casemiro on, so he doesn't get a midfielder. Amrim wants a striker. A little bit different. We just can't get plan A, B, C, D. So look, 3 big positions for Amrim he can't fill for different reasons. Jay says, for me, Watkins is the second best option we have gone for, the best being Gyökeres. For where we are, I didn't understand us going for Delap or Ekitike, says Jay. I sort of get what you mean. Ekitike and Delap would have been learner drivers, I agree. You talk about not taking Chelsea's unwanted players, and now you're excited about Villa's unwanted player. I don't like Watkins, says Frank. Yeah, but there's absolutely no correlation to that, is there? Because Nicholas Jackson's crap, and Ollie Watkins is actually an established Premier League striker who could be a really good... teacher to people like Obi. And he's cheaper than Jackson as well by about 30 million quid because Chelsea wants 70 for Nicholas Jackson. Rest in peace Hulk Hogan, says Ringo. Hi Mark, why can't Amrim adapt to a 3-4-1 with Bruno as the 10 and inverted wingers with Mbeumo and Cunha? The focus must be... Okay, Adik, I'm not being rude, but this has happened about 4 times in a row for the last 4 shows, and all I'm going to say is, you've asked me what I think. This is what I think, and I'm not being rude. I think you're wasting your time asking about why Amrim won't change his system. You're turning into an ex-player on bloody TNT Sports. it's just a waste of time, Addict. Like he's not going to change his system. Whether you think he should, whether I think he should, whatever, he won't change his system. So why won't we do this? Why won't we do that? You know, if you marry somebody and you wish you were married to somebody better, do you sit there next to them every night going, why can't you be like her? Why can't you look like that? You know, it's a waste of time. We've got what we've got. I'm happy with it. I know some people aren't, but he ain't going to change it. Watkins also seems like a low-ego, non-agitating grafter who has genuine talent and not an impressionable age. That feels important too right now, says WG. I like him. And you know what? I think it's probably quite an exciting move for him. Do you think it... Steve says 5 hours ago, Watkins deal off. Yes, but that's... I thought you said 5 hours time, Watkins deal off. Look, if we don't get this... I never said we'd get the deal done yesterday. I know we broke it first, but I never said we'd get the deal done. What I said is he's the priority. We didn't get Delap. We didn't get Gyökeres. We didn't get Ekitike. So the person who sits here and says, deal done or it's definitely going to happen, good luck on that one. People guessed on Mbeumo, didn't they? 3 weeks ago. Deal's done. Wasn't done. He is the priority. What I will say is, if we don't get him, we're moving down to plan E or F, dependent on whether you think Osman was a target or not. Hi, Mark. Early in the window, you hinted at Gyökeres. Now that Arsenal signed him, can you share what... Oh, my God. Dynamo FC. I'm not answering this question ever again. Can someone in the chat answer it? This is worse than Amrim changing a system. I can't answer that question again. It's like 3 times a show. Wouldn't it be too hard to sell him if he flops, though, says Jacob? Nothing like a pessimistic view, is there, Jacob? No, look. What happens to Cunha if he flops? What happens to Mbeumo if he flops? We make a big loss. Like, I don't think we can think like that. I think... What happens if we sign him and he breaks his leg and never plays at the highest level again? You know, the question is this the right signing at the right time for Man United? And on July the 24th, having missed out on loads of targets, I think it's the right signing. I always thought Watkins was underrated. Says Emily, here comes the voice of reason. It's Emily Derry. Get ready for this. She very rarely misses. She says, I always thought Watkins was underrated, except maybe by Aston Villa fans. He's used to playing for a team looking to climb the table. Yeah, remember, we finished 15th as well. What, Navino, why is your chat so small? Is anyone in the live chat? Look at Navino's chat. I can't even read it. Oh, I tell you why. I think YouTube's just bantered you, because what you actually says is Watkins not better than Jackson at this moment in time. Yeah, I mean, even the stats shit all over Jackson from Watkins, to be honest, Navino. Take your small font and shove it up your arse. In fact, you'd probably enjoy that because it's so small you wouldn't even feel it. Any update on why Cher Lacey isn't on the tour, says Ted. Yeah, I'm starting to get worried about Lacey. Really, 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 really talented, but I think he's had another knock. I think he's injured again. He missed a lot of time last season. Casemiro disaster class of a deal at 29. I don't want Watkins. I want Sesko, and I don't understand United being in for Ekitike, but can't afford Sesko, says Daniel. Yeah, well, we'll have to wait and see with that. Sesko to Newcastle. I mean, look, I don't know why Man United aren't in for Sesko. If the price is 60 million, I don't know why we're not in for him. But apparently we're not. I don't know. I really don't know why not. But there we go. Ross says the 8 o'clock shows are gold. We love it, don't we? We love it. Nearly 19,000 watching. Share the video and smash a like. Joe says, I think the delay in replacing Onana was his reported influence in recruiting Mbeumo, says Joe. I don't know. I don't know. I genuinely don't think Mbeumo joined Manchester United because Onana was here. I don't believe that was much of a factor. But if you do, and we remove him, I'll buy into that. I think the delay. Thank you very much. Rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. Hulkamania will live forever, says Better. Thank you very much for that. Jake Worth says, Mark, completely hypercritical, so apologies. But would you do a swap deal for Garnacho and Manu to go to Villa and Martinez and Watkins coming to United? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Watkins is 29, Martinez is 34, and you want me to give a 20 and a 21-year-old to Villa? No. No, that would be ridiculously short term. I wouldn't do that. That would be a very good deal for Villa, and it would be an okay deal for us in relation to the players, but the value wouldn't be that good. No, I wouldn't do that. No. I do think Garnacho to Villa would be a good move for his career, though. If Garnacho goes to Villa, I actually wish him all the best. And wearing the Villa shirt makes sense. Sesko's the best option, says Dainara. Look, the best options are going to be pulling on other shirts. The best option was Gyökeres, and he wears an Arsenal shirt. I don't know why we're not in for Sesko. It could be quite simply that we don't want to learn a driver and we want somebody that's Premier League proven and a bit cheaper. I don't know. Patrick Lynch says, I feel like the pros out... Look, you know what? Before I answer this great point by Patrick, I just want to say, this is not an argument. Certainly not for me, it's not an argument. This is a conversation. I completely get the concern around signing Ollie Watkins, whether it's price, age, or ability. I get it. I really, really do. I like him. I've always liked him. Probably mentioned him more on That's Football over the last 2.5 years than here, but I like him. He's a good Premier League striker, and I like him, and he fits our system really, really well. So I like Ollie Watkins. I'd be happy with this deal. But I understand the concern. So why am I happy about it? Because right here, right now, on the 24th of July, this is about as good as it gets. You can moan, you can be frustrated, but tell me what we can do any better than this on the 24th of July. You might want Sesko. You might want Mateta. But in my opinion, most people don't know what Sesko's really all about. All they've seen of him is in the Bundesliga. Mateta is decent, but I think Watkins is better. These are not the players I would have been going for at the start of the transfer window. But on the 24th of July, I get the frustration. I get the concern. This is what happens when you're shopping for a priority signing 3 weeks out from the start of the season, 1 week away from the start of August. This is about as good as it gets, really. I'm not changing my tune. I will unload on this transfer window on August the 31st or whenever the window closes. But right here, right now, my focus and Man United's focus should be on trying to salvage something, because 5th place is up for grabs, ladies and gentlemen. It is. I'm absolutely convinced it's up for grabs. I actually think that we could end up in a situation where there's another 6 teams in the Champions League. I think Villa have got a far better chance of being in the Champions League than us because they're in the Europa League. So we haven't got the Europa League this year. I think that's an amazing pathway for the Premier League, and they might close it off soon because if Premier League clubs keep winning it, we've got to go for 5th place. We haven't got Europe, and we've got to hit the ground running. I feel like the pros outweigh the cons with regards to getting Watkins. We know the media will twist the knife on Amorim with any striker purchase, but I think there would be less of that with Watkins, says Patrick Lynch. Yeah, I think having an English striker up front for Manchester United, I think you're absolutely right, Patrick. And I don't think the club have thought that, because we all know that Watkins is probably plan D at best. But an English striker up front would silence... Well, look, I'm not saying the Man United journalists would be silent, but predominantly, stereotypically, you get treated a lot better in this country if you're English. Starlink global outage. Did anyone notice? Says Ali. Don't know what you're talking about, but it probably means something to somebody. Rico says, have a pint on me, Mark, before the Friday night show, mucker, or a bottle of Buckfit. I'll have a drink with you tomorrow night, Rico. Yeah, it's been a tough week. It has been a tough week. It's been a tiring week. I was in Manchester Monday preparing for the tour, for them to go on tour. The builders have been in all week. It's just been a long week this week. I think when you go and do something on a Monday, it makes the week long. Yeah. We need to accept the fact that considering our finish, Watkins is actually a good signing, especially with the creative players behind him. This is what I was trying to say. You put it perfectly in a sentence. Perfectly in a sentence. Where we are, and where we are in the window and where we finished last season, I would be very, very happy with Ollie Watkins. I think all you're waiting for now is Romano or Ornstein to confirm it. I get the fact you don't trust us. I get the fact that you don't want to believe that. I think people who've been watching the channel for the last 6 months know the stories we've broken, know how accurate they were, and know how the mainstream broke them predominantly later than us. But look, some of you need the Ornstein-Romano thing. I get it. It'll come. It will come. This is Man United's priority. I'm not saying we're going to get him. I'm not saying that, but this is definitely the player we're working on. Nishank says, I think you missed my super chat. I didn't. Your super chat was about... was it? No, I can't say that, actually. Gotta be Watkins now. His age don't matter, says Jason. If he was 3 years younger, United couldn't have afforded him. Great point, Jason. Ragnar, welcome to the Members Club. Thank you very much for joining. Watkins didn't miss one game in the Premier League season. It's an incredible record, and we need such players after seeing our last year injury record, says Kevin. Yeah, I don't know where this injury-prone stuff's coming from, to be fair. Laura says, hi, Mark. Will Fernandes play as one of the 10s this season? Because if he doesn't, it's a problem. If he does, how much game time is that for new signings? No, I think, well, you might be right, but I think we all know he's going to play as an 8. And, interestingly, that still, in my opinion, makes us a little bit weak, I think it does, because that's sort of where it is. Interestingly, the Times have just put a post out saying that Aston Villa said there's been no contact from Manchester United for Ollie Watkins and maintained that he's not for sale. I think this is something that would concern me a little bit, actually. Obviously, we're starting to hear more and more in the mainstream now, as predicted, but it can be a very difficult deal to do, if at all. I certainly wouldn't be sat here saying it's definitely going to happen, it's definitely going to happen. He is the priority. He is the player that Man United want at the moment. I think it would be shocking if we had to pivot below that. But I've just read something else here I need to bring into the show. But look, you've got to be eyes open. Look, I'm consistent. Said it yesterday lunchtime. Said it last night. This is Man United's priority now. Wasn't their priority in May. Wasn't their priority in June. This is where we are. What happened with those priorities in May? Are they holding a Man United shirt up? No, they're not. What happened with Mbeumo? We started that negotiation at the start of June. We only just got it done, and we paid exactly what Brentford wanted. I would openly admit I'm concerned about this type of negotiation, because if Aston Villa are putting it out there that he's not for sale and he wants to go, which he will, then that to me has very similar tones to Mbeumo. And the worrying thing is Villa will have seen what we've paid for Mbeumo and they'll just dig in. They'll dig in. But the problem with this is, if they dig into the end of the window, then he ends up staying, doesn't he? We need to involve Garnacho in this deal. I think Garnacho is key here. But if Garnacho is holding out for Chelsea, look, this is what I mean. Some people in the chat are putting Cunha, Mbeumo and Watkins up front and giving this transfer window an 8 out of 10. You could be giving it a 3 out of 10 in 2 weeks' time. I don't know where this will end up. Who knows? We might end up with Nicholas Jackson. We might have to go that far down the list. I don't know. But let's see. Villa saying he's not for sale is just a negotiation tactic for me. Let's see. United have taken all my emotional bandwidth, says Swami. Why bother with FFP? City have spent a fortune, says IDR. I think Watkins would be a good player for us. That was from Rico as well. Same midfield will be Amarim's undoing. Watkins, Mbeumo, Cunha does nothing if we're getting overrun every game. I think it's a great point by Roy. I was sort of wanting to say that about what Laura said as well. You could have that front three. You could have Gyökeres as the striker with Cunha and Mbeumo. But if the midfield don't work and Onana's in goal, you're only as strong as your weakest link. I mean, look, I think transfer windows do this to people. They suddenly think that Mbeumo and Cunha are going to be like Batman and Robin, and they're going to make Man United invincible. Pow! You know, and the reality is, all football teams that are successful are a team. And Cunha and Mbeumo ain't going to get control of the midfield. They're not going to track the runners into the box. They're not going to make the saves when they're needed to be done. It don't matter how good you are. We saw it in the Club World Cup with Al Hilal beating Man City. We've seen it loads of times. No matter how good the opposition is, you can get opportunities. And, you know, I said it the other night. Are we ready for the start of this season? No. Even if we did get Watkins, he ain't going to be here for the start of the season. We're not ready for the start of this season. Nobody can argue that we're ready for the start of this season. No matter how positive you are, we're not ready. There are people out there who just seem to want to make a living out of being toxically positive. But if you sat down with them and say, explain to me why it's okay that Man United are not ready for the biggest season in decades. Wow. Well, no, we're not ready. Why are we not ready? Why is it acceptable that we're not ready? We're not ready for the start of this season. Whether we get Watkins, whether we get Martinez, whether we get Lemens, whether we get a midfielder in late August, we're not ready. We're not. And you know what? You know what we're doing? We're posting winning team photos again. They legitimately posted a winning team photo today on X. Can Amorim counter Gyökeres in the opening game since he's worked with him already, says Nitin. Look, we're massive underdogs for that. It doesn't matter who we sign, Arsenal are way better than us, but I still think we can get a result. You got to believe. Garnacho and cash for Isak, like Gillespie for Cole. Yeah, those days are gone, Yanni. No chance. Hi, Mark. Will you finally reveal the information? I'm not answering this at all anymore because I just know you're a rage baiter. I also don't like your name. I think you're trying to get me to say something racist with that, so I think we'll just remove you. Goodbye. Comparing Watkins to Casemiro depends on what wages we give him. Casemiro is hard to move on because he's on 300k a week. As long as we don't do that with Ollie, we're good. Oh, no, Sid. Watkins is on 130 grand a week at Villa. I wouldn't be giving him any more than 170. This is not a cash grab. The financials worry me. It's not. You can't be paying £60 million and giving him 250 grand a week. For me, this is 45 million and 170 grand a week. It can't be about the money. The optics don't work. You got to want to come to Man United and be part of this for the next 4 years, and understand that in the latter years you're going to be nurturing Obi. That's the deal. You know, it's not. You're not here to come and blitz it. Nicholas says, so now you're going for 150k to 170. I think I said 150 last night, but, you know, this is the guy who's going to score the goals for us. Of course, there might be a bit of negotiation. Sam Webb says, Mbeumo, Cunha, Watkins, I'd take that all day long. That front three compared to last season's miles better. And with Ahmed and Bruno, get it done. And a goalkeeper. Garnacho plus 80 million for Isak, worth a try. Yeah. Right, okay. The world is a diverse place. I'm not calling you thick, but the world's a diverse place. Some people are intelligent, some people aren't. What about these people going Garnacho and 80 million for Isak? What about that do you think is possible? You know, they're not robots we're buying. They're human beings. The problem is not going to Newcastle and saying, do you want Gyökeres and 80 million? Because they might want it. The biggest problem is Isak saying, I don't want to play for Manchester United. Like, it's... Bro's playing FIFA, says Tris Fitz. Yes. It's not. The problem's not Newcastle, it's Isak. You got more chance of signing Chris Isak. Watkins, Cunha and Mbeumo had 73 goals and assists last season. All Premier League proven players, all in the top 10 goal scorers last season. Amorim is buying goals, says Tord. Thank you very much for that, Tord. Appreciate it. I just need to refresh here. Refresh. Do you think we'll get an Ornstein or Romano update on Watkins tonight? I don't know. They know. I don't feel like it's that. I think Romano and Ornstein get involved when it's the start of the journey to the end, if you know what I mean. I think when you look at Ornstein with Mbeumo, that first drop at the start of June was Mbeumo only wants Man United and talks are ongoing with Brentford for a transfer. I don't feel like we're at that point yet. I feel we're at the point where United want Watkins. Watkins probably interested in Man United, and Villa saying he's not for sale. So we're probably not at the point where we can start to believe it's that close yet, to be honest. Could you wish Ruth's hubby a happy 65th birthday, says Rob, always United. Happy 65th birthday to Ruth's hubby. And I hope you have plenty more to come. I don't know why I hesitated on that. I don't even know the guy. It was almost like, I hope he's got more to come. You know, he could do with losing a bit of weight and cutting down on the wine. I don't know who he is. I'm sure you've got plenty to come. It hurts seeing Liverpool. Well, you could just leave it at that, the Keystone. It hurts seeing Liverpool. It hurts seeing Liverpool champions, Arsenal, Chelsea, Newcastle spending like they finished 15th. Ineos are more worried about the canteen costs, says Keystone. Manu says, mark my words, the midfield we have will make all upgrades around it look as if nothing happened. With the striker options available, I will rather focus on Belieber and get someone like Rodrigo or Mora, says Manu. Lots of people are concerned about the midfield, to be fair. And good evening, Mark. What do you think about James Trafford? Why aren't we looking at him? I don't know, Daniel. This is what I mean about hypotheticals. We can all pull names out our arse. We just have to follow what we're actually looking at, I suppose. Scary what Ben said today about happy with 2 signings and summer transfer on target. If this was the plan, we're in trouble. Watkins would be good. I did see that comment by Paul. Sorry, thanks for the super chat, Paul. So basically, I'll read it back to you because I don't want to get misquoted on this. So basically, what Ben Jacobs said is that I think I have it here. I don't have it. Let me get it. Look, everyone's entitled to their opinion was obviously going to be my holding statement. But here it is. This was a direct quote from Ben Jacobs on the channel this afternoon. Personally, I see a clear plan for Manchester United. It's clear what they want to do. Having Cunha and Mbeumo through the door before the US tour seems to me like a pretty good summer. That's fine. That's fine, but we don't all have to agree with Ben Jacobs on that one, do we? I don't think Ben Jacobs is a Man United fan. I think he's a Chelsea fan, isn't he? So I would say personally, I don't see a clear plan. It's not clear what we want to do. Having Cunha and Mbeumo through the door before the tour is good, but it's not a pretty good summer. We haven't got either of our main priorities. You could argue we haven't got any of our top 3 priorities if you include a midfielder as a priority. We're not ready for the start of the season. I don't think it has been a good summer. But look, do you think David Ornstein's about to put an article out saying Sir Jim Radcliffe and the Glazers are a couple of twats? Do you think Fabrizio Romano's about to go, Man United are the worst run club in the world and the only reason I grow is because I put stories out about them and, really, though, they're a shit run club and, you've got more chance of Luton winning the Premier League in the next 20 years. See how quickly David Ornstein and Fabrizio Romano get information after that. They are journalists and they are not fans of the football club. So this is the brilliance of the communities that we have, is that we can speak the truth or our truth. I think as a journalist, they've got to be a bit careful, haven't they? Terp says Terry's affected him with his positivity. Yeah, I don't really know why Terry's so positive because they're never going to give him access to the club, are they? I'm trying to think why they wouldn't give him access to the club. But maybe they will. Maybe that's the plan. United stands should double those membership fees to those who leave to watch Love Island at 9 every night. Absolute prat. It's gone down by 1,000 again. It has. Silent Hill. Cheers from Canada, Mark. Hope the best this year, says Payne. Look, I'm looking forward to the game on Saturday night. I'm looking forward to these pre-season games. I just want us to start playing the system properly and playing a bit better football. I am worried about the midfield. We do need a striker and a goalkeeper. We do need a midfielder. We're not ready for the start of the season, and yet every year I start to get optimistic, only to be disappointed. Any rough diamonds in South America, says Rico. I mean, basically just check out the Brazilian league. I think there's always talent there. Who's going to be your breakout player? One or multiple, says JB. You know what? I actually think I'm allowed to do this. I actually think Mainu could be the breakout player. After last season, I really do. I want to shout something out. Some people might have noticed the new Cantona picture I've got behind me. The link's in the description for this. When I was in Manchester, I got sent some artwork, and I'm going to start showing you some of it. But this was a piece that we got gifted to us from Don Grant, who is a Manchester-based artist. There is loads of artwork on there. You can get stuff about Amy Winehouse and the Oasis and all that lot. But there is a Man United page there, so check it out if you fancy something like that. Links in the description. So big thanks to Don for giving us that. And if anybody's interested in getting stuff like that, check it out through the link in the description. Can you bring it a bit closer, says John? I mean, it's not part of the thing, but to be fair, Don has signed it for me. It does say Don on it. Or he might just be calling Cantona the Don, really. But, yeah, love that. There was something I was going to say. Can't remember what it was. You talk about Mainu's positional, understandably, but what about Ahmad with Mbeumo being signed? Great point, Ronan. Great point. You know, is Ahmad better on the right-hand side? Will he drop Delo for him? Buy equals Douglas Luiz as he wants to leave, Romano said. I think Douglas Luiz could happen, Lewis, as well. Interesting thing about Douglas Luiz is that he's Brazilian, Cunha, and he's played with Watkins Villa. All these little things start to, they can make a difference, relationships, connections, chemistry. It's like ultimate team, isn't it? It worries me, the whole Prem proven players and buying goals talk. Torres to Chelsea was Premier League proven buying goals, says Knight. Watkins is 30. Kane will be 32. Casemiro is 34. Son's 34. Salah 34. Bring Watkins. He'd secure us some goals for 2 years at least, says Bales. Manu, I've done that one as well. Okay, thanks everybody for watching tonight. Absolutely loved the show. It's another cracking 8 o'clock show. Remember, tomorrow it's Friday, end of the week at 8 o'clock. I'll be having a glass of wine with you tomorrow night, running up that hill. Absolute legends. I'll speak to you all in a bit. Just in the after show, blame Andre. He's a legend of the chat. He says, I asked this yesterday, but you didn't read it. What would it take for United to be ready for the next season? Outgoings, I would always wait till the end of the month if we have to. So Anthony, Garnacho, I don't really give a shit about Arsenal, Fulham and outgoings. But to be ready for the start of the season, we needed a goalkeeper in now. We needed a striker in now. Midfielder I would have liked, but definitely needed the goalkeeper and the striker. Their key positions. We're playing Arsenal, Man City and Chelsea in our first 5 games. Definitely. I will be going down the slide this Saturday, MUFC. That's going to happen. Jerome says, why are you still live? You don't understand the after show, do you? It's just a little bit of a chill out for a few minutes. Right. What I definitely want to talk about is, I spoke about death last night. Not here to talk about that. Somebody said to me, what do you think happens after you die, though? And I missed it just as it ended. After you die, I think you just get on to a massive merry-go-round. Like, those, what do they called? Ones with the horses on. I think you just get on there, and it's a massive one that is so big, you can't ever do a full circle. And you're just on it with your favourite music playing, with your favourite people around you. So, like, George Best might be on the next one. And you're just smiling, going round on a big, massive roundabout. People can laugh, but it's about as much chance as that as anything else people think is going to happen. Because to be honest with you, I haven't got a bloody clue. I really haven't got a clue. Sounds like a nightmare, says Sam. I haven't got a clue. I tell you what does sound like a bloody nightmare, and it's only this time of year you get it. And I have mentioned it before, and I'm sure some of you have seen it on TikTok or Insta or even your Facebook or whatever. We're bad for this. I'm going to be. I'm going to slag off the British here. We are absolutely terrible for this. I don't even know if it happens in other countries. I'm talking about holidays and I'm talking about sun loungers. incredible. I remember talking about this last year. So I don't, you know, when you go on TikTok or Insta and you look at certain things, it serves you with similar things. So there's a lot of these videos, and most of it's in Spain, and it will be like somebody from their hotel balcony going, I had to film this. It's 5 to 6 in the morning. The lifeguard is just coming down to unlock the sunbeds. Look at the queue. And it's 5 to 6 in the morning. These people are on holiday. They're queuing up. And then they unlock the sunbeds. And it's just a mad rush for people to grab them and move them. But the funny thing is, Dad's there grabbing the sunbeds whilst the kids have gone off to the area they want to be with towels and doing star jumps to cover that space off. It's incredible. This is true. This is not some nonsense. It's true. That this is happening all over Spain with British people on holiday. They've saved up for it all year. You know, Christmas dinner's barely gone down. Brussels sprouts are fermenting into farts in their arse. And they're sat there going, Dave, should we book that holiday in Benidorm again for 2 weeks? Nah, I fancy Tenerife this year. Oh, I don't know though. It's a bit hot there. Well, yeah, you know, yeah, let's do it then. I mean, the only downside about that brilliant holiday is that I work hard all year and I'm getting up earlier on holiday to get bloody sunbeds, you know. But yeah, let's go and do it. I'm like, I don't get it. I just do not get it. And they do it in their hundreds. I mean, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Spanish time, there'll be more British people up than a bloody bird. They'll be there. Showered, shit and shave, ready to go in the queue. Oh, you know what, Maureen? You know, I got us some sunbeds this morning, but I wasn't there early enough. I think I'm going to get up at 3:30 this morning just to make sure. It defies logic. It defies logic. And I think people do it because other people do it. If we don't do it, we won't get one. Why would you go on holiday to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to queue up to get a bloody sunbed? Absolute madness. It's true as well. It's true. Some people in the chat are going, oh, I've just been on holiday. Some people are going, I can't believe this happens. I couldn't think of anything worse. You work hard all year to go on holiday, and then you get up earlier than you do when you're going to work to stand there with a bunch of prats to get a piece of plastic that's not even comfortable so you can mark your territory like a bloody dog pissing up a lamppost. Incredible. Incredible. You know what I would do? You know, if you're going on holiday, you know what I'll do? I'll give you a little tip here, because nothing will happen. Lie in, go out on the evening, enjoy that warm evening out in Spain. You know, have an extra glass of sangria and hold this thought. When you wake up tomorrow morning, well rested because you're on holiday, think about Dave and Maureen, who've been up since 5 o'clock to get their spot, right? I guarantee you, at 11 o'clock, Dave and Maureen are going to pop down to get some, you know, crisps or something like that. All you do is wander down at that time when they've left their sunbed unattended, take their beach towels, throw them in the pool and lie down. And when Dave comes back and has a right old moan and says he's been up since 5 o'clock, say, it's not my bloody problem. You don't own these beds. Do one, Dave. And Maureen, you can muff off as well. Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Nothing like a Jet2 Holiday, says Perk. But the fact is, it's true. I tell you what, if you're on holiday with Gary Neville, Lee Berman's, you'd be absolutely sorted. Gary would sort you out. He'd love it. He's already been up for 2 hours. It's ridiculous. Jem says some hotels have started taking towels away if they're not with their sunbeds. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't want to get boring, but the obvious thing to do is to allocate a room number to each bed. Really, really easy. Really, really easy. Or in the modern day, how's about putting a lock on each bed and your hotel room, which you buzz into anyway, does that. You know what? If I was going to go on a holiday like that, which I will not, you know what? One thing I will say is you'll never see me on a holiday like that queuing up for a sunbed. But if I did go on a holiday like that, I absolutely would use TripAdvisor, sunbed filter search, and just look at that. Look at that. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I just don't get it. I normally the last holiday I went on like that was Mallorca, and it was a lovely hotel, and Seb was really young, so they had these swim up pools. They weren't very big. Just you walked out of your room into like a swim up pool that was like a little, probably 3 meters by 3 meters section, and then you went out that into the main pool. And you could just, he was a little kid, so you could just have him and, you know, learn how to swim and all that. But because you had that little bit, there was a couple of sun lounges as well. And I woke up one morning and bloody Dave and Maureen were coming in through our swim up pool trying to get me bloody sunbeds. Absolute twats. What about the Pineapple Man, Mark? That was true. I can't believe people actually thought that that was staged. I mean, yeah, I just love having a man with a piece of pineapple and a knife, waving it in my mouth, calling me a wanker. I love that. I really, really do. I tell you what, I'll give you a bit of homework. If anybody can find the dates of that video that's on the channel somewhere, I'll give you I'll sort out a little gift for you, because I would love to know what week that was. I went on holiday and watched back those streams. I just can't figure it out. I can't even remember. People say, "Well, you went on the." I don't got a bloody clue what year it was. I was thinking the other day. I can't remember a transfer happening. I can't remember whether it was June or July or August. I can't remember what year it was. But there was a whole week where I was basically streaming at 8 o'clock from Mallorca, in the morning on the beach, and on the evening across from this brilliant hotel, brilliant bar in Palma Nova called Rogers. But I can't remember the week. I just want to go, you know, like nostalgia. I just want to go back. And it wasn't 4 years ago. I'm trying to think, Harold. It must have been 6, maybe 7 years ago, because Seb was definitely there. But I don't think he was walking. It wasn't December. No. It wasn't 4 years ago. It was definitely not 4 years ago. He was younger than that. You do well to find it. Ask ChatGPT. I am going to prove how shite that is. What was the date Mark Goldbridge got attacked by the pineapple seller? The incident where Mark Goldbridge was seemingly attacked by a pineapple seller, which was later widely understood to be a staged act. Piss off! Oh my, get out! You lying bloody AI prat! What a load of shit! What a load of rubbish. Well, that's just proved that AI is a load of crap. This was mentioned in a Vice article. Oh, well, there you go. On August the 31st, 2018, the article references social media posts from around August the 27th to the 28th, 2018, suggest the attack happened. I don't think I would have gone on holiday in August. I don't think I would have gone on holiday. I reckon it was, maybe it was July. I don't know. I mean, you know what? That does not surprise me. That does not surprise me. That's how bitter people are. They think that you're going to go and... I mean, this is way before the days of Speed and Angry Ginge and IRL. You know, this was just a live stream. I mean, I was setting a trend again. I can't believe AI is saying that that was a staged act with a Mallorcan bloody pineapple seller with a knife. He got bloody arrested the next day. He was doing it to everyone. It was the most... What did I say? Don't buy fruit in Mallorca. Mate, that was just pure panic. Who comes out with that? You've just been threatened by a guy with a knife and a piece of pineapple, and when he's in a safe distance, you go, don't buy fruit in Mallorca. I mean, I could have stood up and said, do you want some, or anything like that. Don't buy fruit in Mallorca. I absolutely shit myself. I had to change my undies. I'm not, you know, that was not staged. You try being sat there with a live stream on your on your arse, and a guy stood a metre in front of you looking down at you with angry eyes, a piece of pineapple and a knife. you're trying to maintain a live stream and talk about the latest Manchester United transfer news, I shit myself. I went pale. I did. I thought I'm going to be a statistic on a live stream. Staged my arse. Oh, bloody... It wants an episode of bloody Hollyoaks. It was nearly Reservoir Dogs. I thought he was going to chop my ear off. All I needed to do is steal his wheel to come on, and I'd have absolutely emptied my bowels. Staged. Don't trust AI. That's what we've learned tonight. Don't trust AI. Cheeky gets. Well, I'll tell you what, I won't sleep tonight. I'm fuming about that. Let me read it again. The incident where Mark Goldbridge was seemingly... What, seemingly? Since when did AI learn bloody sarcasm? Cheeky gets. The incident where Mark Goldbridge was seemingly attacked by a pineapple seller, brackets, which was later widely understood to be a staged act. Shove that up your arse. You're just a bloody computer. You're not bloody Peter Kay. You're not bloody stand-up. Oh, I tell you what. I'm fuming about that. Bantered by AI. Here we go. Here we go. Just a bit of news, actually, before I go. I'm gonna go down the local shop, get a pineapple, and just kick the shit out of it. Matthew, producer, says that Fabrizio on YouTube is saying contact has been made regarding Watkins, club-to-club conversations. They want to keep the player. Matt, you've ruined it. He says they want to keep the player, not negotiate. Yeah, well, look, Fabrizio's confirming it. Remember, we got it first. Again. What a summer. It's been really good. I'd love to... I nearly shouted out his name then. He'd get the sack. I would like to not take any praise for this and just praise our source, who's given us about 6 brilliant bits of information over the last 6 months. I nearly got him sacked then because I genuinely was just about to say his first name. It's time to go. I haven't even had a drink. Blast play. You know what? If the guy had got sacked, he said you'd said my first name on the stream and I've been found out, I'd have said, don't blame it on me, blame it on bloody AI. They rattled me. They rattled my cage like a cat. Thanks for watching. Apparently the Manchester Evening News have just put an article out. Breaking, Amrin wants to sign a striker. I love the sarcasm, Ibrahim. It's all sports news. I tell you what, it'll be a good 9 o'clock show. It'll be a good after show tomorrow because I'll be revisiting this with this. I'm not happy. I'm not happy. Speak to you in a bit.